All right, the playmaker, the more fun stuff. This is a term, actually, both of these terms, I should give credit to my mentor I mentioned before, Noah LaRoche, who really taught me both of these concepts and simplified greatly how I teach just what a big guy should do around the basket. So the playmaker is really modeled after the Nikola Jokic approach, which is to be an incredible passer out of the post with your back to the basket, to the point where all the defense is worried about your teammates that are going to cut and move and get open shots, and they end up leaving you into ISO one-on-one where you can actually score easier. Where most players' whole approach, and comes from coaching, most part, most players' approach is, if I catch in the post, I've got to go bang, overpower two or three people and just dominate and score. When the whole time there was two or three wide open teammates that we could have been kicking out and passing to. So our whole approach is be a passer first. And what I've really arrived at, the reason why this is so effective, is what I call the angle advantage, which means that all the perimeter teammates all have a perimeter defender. And when you catch the ball in the post, all four of those defenders have their back turned to you. And so you have an instant advantage of angle, and your teammates, especially when they're going to cut, have an advantage of angle because the ball is behind the defender's back. They're going to turn around to see where the ball is, and it's a major distraction. And so anything we can do to have teammates moving when that natural instinct kicks in that they're going to turn and look at the ball, we call it cut the blind man, which is timing your cut as a perimeter player when your defender's head turns to look at the post where the ball went. Like, they can hardly resist. Like, they're going to look. If you wait long enough, it will happen. When their head turns, you cut behind their head, and suddenly you've created, similar to the dunker we talked about, you're exploiting their instinct, and now they have panic mode, right? They lost you, you're two steps ahead of them, they're trying to catch up, or help has to come. Like, it just causes massive problems for the defense. As simple as that sounds, if we can get the positioning and the angle and the timing to work, like, all kinds of stuff opens up for that. We end up getting wide open layups or wide open kick out 3-point shots because the defense is so caught off guard by a simple cut when the head turns. And because the instinct is so fundamental to just human psychology, that when the ball is passed behind your back, you turn and look where the ball went. It's nearly always there as an opportunity to cut and find advantages, which is why I really like working on this position. No matter what size you are, if you can get comfortable catching the ball down near the block with your back to the basket, and you can get your team on board with moving as soon as that happens, you can just have a lot of fun. And so that's what we're going to move toward, is playing some 3-on-3 out of this and really getting creative with all the different ways we can cut and create openings. And the kind of second layer to this is what's called a split cut, which is kind of touching on a concept we're going to work on in the following couple weeks, which is screening away from the ball. So this just means after we pass to the post, we're going to go screen a guard, and then we both cut off of that screen and move to opposite spaces and all that. So we'll walk through some of that as kind of an intro and just a way to show you more creative options when we're using the post. We're going to see the team action first, cutting off the post, and you'll see an example of what it looks like to cut with me acting as the defense here, what the timing and the angle of the cut looks like to cut when the defensive head turns. So really, we got two angles to cut. First one is cutting middle, what we call a speed cut. Second one is cutting baseline, can also be called a speed cut. Here's where the head turns and he cuts middle. We're just working on that on both sides and working on passes. Should nearly always be a bounce pass out of the post, unless you're lobbing it to somebody that's getting above the rim. So passes in the air are the ones that get stolen. This is an example of the split cut, where we're actually passing to post and then screening away to our other guard before we get to the basket. We've got options to do both. We can just cut straight through, or we can relocate. We can cut again. Just working on all angles. Again, by getting the ball behind some of the defense, we open up a lot of possibilities.